Welcome back and welcome to another book talk video. Today I want to talk to you about The One We Fell in Love With by Paige Toon. You'll have seen me talk a lot about this. I did a book haul with this one. I talked about it being in my sort of December TBR and my holiday booktubeathon video. I talked about this one and I read this one all in one day. I couldn't put it down. It was just fabulous. So let me tell you a little bit about it. So this is about three identical triplets, and as you can see from the cover there, and the one they fell in love with. So if I can tell you, read you the blurb on the back, you'll know a little bit more about it. So, Phoebe is caught between a rock and a hard place: settle down and get married, or return to the French Alps and pursue her passion. Eliza is in love with somebody who is no longer hers. In fact, he probably never was. And her dream of becoming a successful musician seems to be vanishing before her eyes. Rose is out of a job and out of a boyfriend. To make matters worse, she's been forced to move back in with her mother. But these very different girls have one thing in common: Angus, the one they fell in love with. So what's great about this book is that it's written from the three triplets. They each get a chapter. So they take it in turns to have a chapter. So we get to know what's going on in their lives and how they view certain situations. So there are moments where they've all been at home, or they've all been together, and you get to kind of see those situations from multiple triplets' perspectives. We never get to hear from Angus, which is quite interesting because Angus is viewed quite differently by each of the three triplets, and so we get to kind of see him through their eyes, and obviously he's quite different through each of their eyes. I really loved the fact that Phoebe lived at home and Eliza was Phoebe lived at home, Rose lived at home, and then Eliza's kind of in and out of home as well initially. And so we kind of get to see what family life is like through them in particular. And I think that Eliza was probably my favourite triplet because I really like the fact that she spoke her mind in the most part. She's kind of known as the more outspoken triplet. Rose is interesting because she's obviously, been forced to move back home, and she's out of a job and out of a boyfriend at present. But we don't really discover the reasons behind those life changes rather than life choices until quite far into the book. There's definitely a kind of before and after point in this book because something happens, and we get to kind of hear about life before the thing and life after the thing. And I won't talk about what the thing is, and I won't talk about whether it's a twist or not because I'm not going to make any spoilers. But life before and after is quite different. It's interesting, the relationship between the triplets as well, and their kind of need to have their own identity. And it's interesting the way their kind of friends and family treat them, and the way Angus treats them. I think aside from the basic storyline that runs through this about what's going on in their lives and the one they fell in love with, the really interesting thing about this is what it's like to be an identical triplet and to grow up and to be a grown-up who is an identical triplet, and kind of how people treat you and how you're perceived and how your own identity is. I think that was a really interesting thing about this book. There are some really great scenes set in France, in the French Alps. There are also some really great scenes set in a bakery, which will definitely make you want to eat bread. I think there's certain books that just make you want to eat things. In this book, there are some chapters that'll just make you want to eat bread. Initially, I really didn't like Angus, but I definitely warmed to him as the book went on. And as I say, I think Eliza was my favourite triplet. This book just had me gripped right from the word go. It's not just because I was doing a readathon and that's when I read it. I think if I picked this book up at any other time, I still would have been completely gripped by this. And I would recommend anybody to read this, and I defy anybody to be actually be able to put this book down. It's such a page turner. Page Toon writes nice short chapters, so you kind of have to go, oh, I need to know what Phoebe thought about this, or I need to know what Rose thought about this, or I need to find out what's going to happen next with Angus, or what's going to happen next in their family home. And I just, I laughed a lot, I cried a little bit, and I was just generally like blown away by this book. I really enjoyed it, and I highly recommend picking it up. Okay, I will have another video for you soon, so I'll see you then. Bye.